Hey, everybody, this is Jimmy. We are back again with another candidate for the Cambridge School Committee running. Let me just start again. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody, welcome back to our Meet the Candidate series. This is Jimmy. We have a new candidate today running for Cambridge School Committee. Please welcome to the show Eugenia Schraa. She is running for Cambridge School Committee. She is a first-time candidate. Welcome to the show, Eugenia.
Thank you so much.
Well, it's great to see you. Thanks for joining us. Thank you for running. Tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your background. How long have you lived in Cambridge, and why are you running for Cambridge School Committee?
Yeah, well, I'm a former public high school teacher. I taught in the Bronx. I have a kid who is at Baldwin. He's a first grader, and a 4-year-old who will start at CPS next year. And what really got me into this race was doing some after school advocacy which I really fell into. So trying to get the city to add seats. And what I found is that you really can be successful on moving policy forward, but that takes staying on top of where the policy conversation is and having a whole bunch of people who are in your corner. In our case, it was families, and really pushing hard. So that sort of slowly morphed into the school committee race. But that's a little bit about me. Oh, how long have I been in Cambridge? Over 20 years.
All righty. And so tell us, what do you think the schools, Cambridge Public Schools, are doing well, and what do you think needs improvement?
Well, what they're doing well is that they have some fabulous teachers. And I actually have a little survey that you can find on my website and fill it out. And people's top thing that they say that the schools are doing great is usually the teachers. There's a lot of wonderful teachers. I also think there's some great principals. So those are the strengths of the system. What they're not doing great, sadly, there's a few things. And what actually got me running was about as basic as you can get. This was the first time I had the thought to run was when I learned about how we're teaching our children to read. So I had just learned, this was about a year ago, about the discredited programs and the discredited ways that America generally, this is a bigger problem, has been teaching kids to read. And that really shocked me, but it didn't make me think I should run because, I'm like, America, I know.
Well, how
What
are
it
they
really
teaching
was,
people to read incorrectly? I mean,
that's right. So what they used to be doing,
yeah.
and luckily a lot of places are changing this around, including in Cambridge Public Schools, but they used to do a lot of things where they would just sort of have kids learn to guess and use context clues and instead of actually sounding out the word. So that really caused a ton of harm for many students. Really, it results in kids not being able to learn to read because you sort of memorize bad habits, and
Right.
it's very hard to undo them. So the good thing is that CPS is turning that ship around. It's a slow process and it's hard. But the bad news is that they haven't been upfront and they haven't told parents that they're doing that. They haven't told parents which levels have all teachers who are up to snuff. Which level have teachers that know the new methods and which don't. And my kid just last year, so last June, came home with a whole bunch of Heinemann books, which is a discredited program, and he's been struggling to read. So it is very disconcerting. And even though they're doing some things right, they need to talk to their community more about it.
Communication then. And so other than that, or what would you hope to accomplish, your top 3 to 5 priorities if you were so fortunate to be elected?
Yeah. Well, so the first one is that in our recent MCAS scores, we found that our pandemic recovery, the Cambridge's pandemic recovery, which looks beautiful on paper. In fact, it got a glowing news article in the Globe about how it had created a full pandemic recovery. Well, actually, what's going on, if you dig in just a tiny bit, and CPS did mention this, they were quite candid about it, which was great, is that sort of the more well-off students have made gains since the pandemic. White and non-high needs students, I'm putting that in a little box, you can see that it's a quote from the state, are doing better than they did pre-pandemic. Black and high needs students, again, that's a term from the state, are doing worse than they were doing before the pandemic. So we're going this way, and it's really problematic. And so one thing I want the school committee to do is to really push CPS to understand why and tell us what's going on. One thing CPS didn't present when it recently talked about the MCAS scores was that its schools within CPS are highly uneven, with the highest performing schools being they have over twice the achievement numbers of the lowest performing schools. And they haven't talked about that, and they haven't dug in and investigated and give us some answers on when. So I think that has to be everybody's top priority. I hope it's everyone's top priority. Some other things, math has been my little unofficial slogan. I call myself Eugenia Schraa, rhymes with algebra. And I've really found that the algebra kerfuffle was all sort of a symptom of deeper problems, including, again, a lack of data. We don't know how many students take outside courses and tutoring, which I think is rampant, and we don't know why they do that. Is it because the courses that they're finding that they don't have a strong enough math education, which I think is possibly true? Do students who go to CPS make it to algebra, AP calculus if they want to? They haven't presented that data. It seems like students who stay at CPS are at a disadvantage as opposed to students who go to private schools. But again, we don't know. So
data,
reading, math,
yeah,
racial education gap. Let's add mental health. This is, again, a nationwide issue, but it's a crisis that's here in Cambridge too. And even though they presented about it in March, they haven't acted on it. And there's so many different pieces to mental health, but just one is that in the March presentation, they talked about how regulating cell phone use at the high school would be an important way of starting to help students both learn and for their mental health. And as of today, each high school teacher, I was a high school teacher, so this is horrifying to me. Each high school teacher has to decide on their own policy and sort of fight the fight class by class. There's no high school policy on cell phones. Thank you. Yes, I love that reaction.
Oh, man.
So I could go on, actually.
No, that's fine. I'm just in the hopefully a positive development. I'm just curious to your reaction. Universal pre-K, you think that's going to be good and to help to close that achievement gap?
No, there will never be any one magic solution that will help us close the achievement gap. Absolutely not. And it won't be this.
Do you think that will help?
Will this be one small part of the solution that helps? Yes, I hope so. I do know that nonprofit partners who are in the program have had some feedback that it's been a little bit of a struggle and a lot of bureaucratic weirdness. But overall, that's good. But there's never going to be a magic bullet. What the magic bullet is a lot of hard work looking into all the details, like, hey, we've got one school who's doing twice as well as another elementary school. What are the things that they're doing better? What are the things, if it's a boring answer, it's probably a better answer.
Right. What about the tutoring program? Do you think that's going to be helpful?
I hope so. I really liked the tutoring program, and it was first presented in April. And one of the things that really stood out to me as compared to other CPS presentations is that the woman who presented started off with sort of a baseline of here's where our schools are. And she did take the school names off, which is fine, but she literally showed where each school stood in terms of students behind grade level, or how many students they had behind under grade level. And I'm not saying that super well, but it just seemed like she first showed us where the problem is, that she'd done a lot of homework, and that her plan seemed to build off of that. And now the plan is going to be to target schools that have 25 or more students who are 2 grades below school level in the grades 3 through 8, as I believe. And it just sounds like a really good idea. It's talking with the after schools and using after school time. So I'm really hopeful, because it does sound like she did a lot of that boring work, even though it's a sexy word of tutoring. I think I'm hopeful. We'll see.
Okay. What about what's the term? I'm blanking on the name. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
Plumbers, electricians,
RISTA, the RISTA program.
The RISTA, but yeah, there's another term for it, and I'm just blanking on it. About how kids are going into the more manual, into the trades. Do you support that? Vocational trades. Are you supportive of opportunities to? Not everybody wants to go to college. Not everybody can go to college. What about vocational education?
Yeah, I think absolutely. I think that what it requires is like everything else is that that program be really well run
Mm-hmm.
and be really ambitious and be there for every student. I know they're trying to set it up so that there's an internship for every student. That's something that the charter school down the street has set up for every single one of their kids who graduate. And that charter school produces fabulous results for Black and Hispanic kids, by the way. And somehow CPS, with all of its resources, all of its money, hasn't yet been able to figure that out.
Right.
So it just seems to me that there's some, low hanging fruit in terms of, can this program be as high performing and well managed as it can? But to be honest, this is not my area of expertise. It's a place I should learn more. Okay. So I don't want to see too much more. But
you know what? It's not my area of expertise either, because I was blanking on the term. So my apologies. Tell me, what, if any, organizations have endorsed you?
I have not sought endorsements because I didn't really agree with some of the endorsing organizations. Mm-hmm. And I thought, if I'm not fully in agreement, then just be my own person. So that's where I'm at.
Great. And the superintendent, the latest report was mixed, shall we say?
It was bad. It was not mixed. It was pretty bad.
Okay. Any recommendations about that? Any thoughts on that? And then just a closing statement, and where can people find out more about you?
The superintendent is so important. I'm just going to start there. VoteEugenia.com. On VoteEugenia.com, you can find out that I dug into that superintendent report. I think it's possibly the top issue. There are some really problematic ways that CPS is being run right now. Mm-hmm. And my number one thing is transparency, that parents know about this. I don't think this story has been covered enough. I worked with 3 news organizations, the Crimson, the Day, something else. Oh, the high school news outlet, to try and get coverage on the story. They all 3 have told me it's coming, and it hasn't really, but it's really important that parents know that we've got sort of this top-down approach. We've got huge problems in how CPS is hiring new principals, which can do enormous damage, because a non-brilliant principal is something we shouldn't have in any of our schools, and it's tops.
Okay, great. So Eugenia, where can people find out more about you?
Oh, I thought we were off. No, I'm at VoteEugenia.com.
Vote.
And I write a weekly newsletter. You can see all the old ones, and I've written about the superintendent and everything. I write a lot.
Good. Well, you're a writer. That's good. You maybe can teach writing. The website is VoteEugenia.com. Thank you so much for joining us today. Good luck on the campaign trail. I will see you on the circuit. Thank you so much, Eugenia.
Thank you. Thanks. Bye.